Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Success Thursday this week with Juan Rodriguez. Hey Juan, welcome back.
Hi Vasco, thank you.
Absolutely. So Juan, we're going to talk about success and what it means for us as Scrum Masters. But before we dive into that, do share with us, what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
Okay. So my favorite retrospective format is the Timeline Retrospective. I use this with teams that I'm fairly new with, but not right away. I like to build a little bit of trust with it because it leads into deeper conversations. And I run the Timeline Retrospective basically from the very start of the sprint to the end. And the reason I do that is because as you go through your 2-week or month sprint, the longer it is, the harder it is to remember what happened at the beginning. So I ask team members, as we're going through this retrospective, every day, put something that has happened on there. So that way, when we actually have our conversation at the end of the sprint, it's there and you can say, oh yeah, I remember doing that. And you're not struggling to come up with what happened at the beginning of the sprint that may have hindered us or may have helped us. So that's one of the things I do. And then I said it leads into deeper conversations. So there might be things that, hey, this person did this and it tripped me up here and I had to redo all this work, which made me late with my deliverable. It leads to those kind of conversations. Well, how could you have talked to this person to prevent that or things like that?
Yeah, it kind of helps us to go one by one and detect if there's something we should do differently or accept that it just happens that way, right? Like it goes into the events of the sprint in a much more specific and concrete way.
Yep. And it also shows the team how much they actually did. Because when you're looking at the day-to-day stuff, you don't realize what you did 3 days ago, 4 days ago, and everything since then. So when you look at the big picture of the timeline, say, yeah, we may have gotten 5 PBIs, but during those 5 PBIs, I attended 10 meetings in order to get one answer. So that's another reason that I like that format.
Absolutely. The timeline retrospective is also something that, as you said, the team can work on throughout the sprint. So it doesn't need to be a memory exercise at the end. And it helps the team be part of creating that picture, right? And then at the end, they go back, oh, yeah, that happened. I didn't even remember that.
Yep. And every team member puts something in, so they own it.
Yeah, and they put it in. That's a very good point. They own the content that they go through in the retrospective. Absolutely. So, Juan, that was the retro. But of course, today is Thursday, and we like to talk about success and what that means for us as Scrum Masters. So share with us, what's your definition of success for your work as a Scrum Master?
I define success for me as a Scrum Master as when the team no longer needs my help, but wants it. That's how I define it. I know that early on when you start off with the team, it's, okay, you're the Scrum Master, tell us what to do. And you're going through lots of things such as working agreements. Hey, have you guys closed your PBIs? Are you guys following the team rules? Are you meeting your definition of done? How are we doing as a whole team? Are we burning down? We're relatively... are we actually burning down or are we burning up? And all that kind of stuff. But at some point, the team gets to the point where they're like, okay, we're doing all this stuff that you taught us at the beginning. And so we really don't need you with us on a daily basis, but we want you to be with us to guide us and help us with the harder things that are coming along. So that's my view on success of a Scrum Master, at least for myself.
It sounds to me that the step the end state as you describe it, is a lot more of one that is there to support when asked, rather than to offer support to people who are not asking for it. Is that a way you would describe it?
That is exactly how I would describe it. And I actually had a team that got to that state where I wasn't needed every day to be there at the daily stand-up or run the retrospective. The team themselves took over that functionality, but I was asked to be there sometimes just because they wanted to say, hey, how's it going? This is what we're doing. This is what you taught us. We're running into this problem, and we want you, if you can, to help us talk us through how we can resolve it. And
so when was the time for that particular team? When was the time that you noticed, yeah, they still want me there, but they don't really need me? Like what were the hints, the signs that told you that this team was ready to go on their own, and even though they wanted you there, you knew they didn't need you?
I went on vacation for 3 weeks into the wilderness, and they couldn't contact me. And I came back and everything was running, and they did everything they needed to do. And when I came back, they just kept going on their own. That's really what told me at that point.
Did you prepare that vacation in a specific way? Like, did you get some stuff done before you went on vacation? Did you go through certain things with them before that?
I did. I went through and I talked with different members, and I said, "Can you run this part of the events for me?" And they volunteered. Someone said, "Hey, we know you're going on vacation in a couple of weeks. Can we help you out in some way? I'll be happy to run the stand up on Wednesdays, for example." And so it was more of me finding out that when I came back, that the team actually did what I had shown them, what I've been working with them. And I didn't have fear of going on vacation with this particular team, because one of my biggest fears as a Scrum Master is I go on vacation 3 days and I come back and everything's in disarray.
And it also tells me that it's good to practice that, like to be away, perhaps first as half a day or 1 day, make it coincide with the daily stand-up at least, then later on maybe 2 days and make it coincide with, I don't know, sprint planning and daily stand-up or something like that, but kind of gently introduce the idea that you're not going to always be there forever. What do you think about that?
That's actually a technique I use. I will ask someone, I say, hey, at first what I do is I say, I would like you to run the stand-up for me. I will be there, but I'm going to be observing. And if you get stuck, you can ask me questions and we can go from there. And I have that person run the stand-up for me. And then, so like today, my team members are running the stand-up here in about 10 minutes for me because I'm talking with you. So,
excellent. And that's a great excuse, right? Oh, look, I'm going to be on a podcast with Vasco. I can't be in the stand-up. Can you guys run it for me?
Yeah, exactly. And I made it known on Thursday last week, and I asked. And so I'm not worried about what that team is going to be doing while I'm talking with you, because I know it's going to be done. I know they're going to get their conversation that they need for the day completed and their plan, and they're going to just take off and work on it.
Absolutely. That's a great tip. Also, for us, it's also a great way to evaluate how our work is impacting the team, right? Because if we're not doing a good job, they'll come up with a lot of questions, maybe even object to the idea of running the daily. But if we're doing a good job, they'll say, yeah, hell, why not? We'll do it. And if we have any trouble, we'll ask you.
Exactly. And I'd like to prep them ahead of time, have them do different ceremonies like, hey, can you run the retrospective? Someday I'm not going to be here, so you're going to have to do it at some point. So why not do it while I'm here and get that comfort of doing it?
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that story with us, Juan.
Oh, absolutely.
Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.